without any further ado, one of my favorite people in the whole wide universe is Ann Coulter. Of course, you read her columns at anncoulter.com. And I was thrilled, Ann, to see this week's column focus on the Golden State, California, a state that we both sort of have a love-hate relationship with.
Yes, California is a great example of why Marx insisted that communist revolutions had to be worldwide. And when communism didn't sweep through Western Europe, Stalin had to go to the fallback position of socialism in one state. No, socialism in one state doesn't work because people leave that state.
Right.
And wow, are we seeing it in America? I mean, also New York State. But California is without question the most beautiful state in the union.
Yep.
Just incredible natural beauty, everything in one state. Only Democrats could wreck a state like that. Hollywood, Silicon Valley, Yosemite, the beaches, the mountains, the orange groves, everything used to start in California. Every major political movement. We got Ronald Reagan and the tax revolt with that proposition. Was it 209 that put the cap on property taxes? And
13 was the property taxes. 209 banned affirmative action. Yeah.
That's right. Just everything came from California, and now California is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democratic Party. So I used it in my column this week. Well, for one thing, just every census, California used to add seats to the House of Representatives because the population has been booming since California became a state in 1850? Every 10 years. 1 year, California added 9 congressional districts. That was probably the most of any state. It has to be the most of any state ever. Last census, California added 0 seats. It is expected to lose 1 or 2 congressional seats in the next census. And by the way, it would be losing a lot more, a lot faster if we followed the Constitution and only counted citizens.
That's right. Thank you. I was going to point that out. If we only did these congressional districts based on citizens living in the state of California versus just the overall population, we'd probably have the same representation as, I don't know, Nevada right now.
Right. And actually, I didn't mention it, but that's another example of how liberals are fake, phony frauds pretending to care about, the sanctity of our elections. And Russia bought $100,000 in Facebook ads to interfere with our democracy. Oh, our precious. They don't care about democracy. I mean, it's crazy that various members, not just from California, but California probably has some of the worst offenders. Members of the House of Representatives who are being elected by, 30,000 people who can vote in their district versus 200, 300,000 if you're from, a state that is not chock-a-block with illegals. So that's one way they don't care about democracy. That's not one man, one vote.
Of course
it's supposed to be each congressional district is supposed to represent roughly the same number of people. But the main thing I noticed from that spectacular governor, Gavin Newsom, was the left, the Democratic Party's utter disregard for the results of elections. Forget the whole attack on Trump while he was being, harassed during the debates. Will you accept the results of the election? Why wasn't Hillary asked that? I mean, I kind of noticed it at the time. Apparently that was the question that should have been asked. But most recently, most stunningly, I think the voters of California have been polled on the question of should we have capital punishment probably more than any other people on earth. And they keep saying, yes, 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 we want the death penalty. There was a statewide initiative in 1972, in 1978, 2012, again in 2016. Despite all of the elites, all of the media, all of the left-wing groups campaigning for, it's inhumane, what a mistake is made. Nope, Californians keep saying, nope, we want the death penalty. So just in 2016, there was a statewide initiative to try to get rid of the death penalty again. It failed.
Right.
And then Gavin Newsom gets into office and says, I'm just going to put a moratorium on the death penalty.
Yeah. And by the way, and he didn't run on it. If he had made that a central campaign issue, I guess there would be one thing. But he just sort of snuck it in. He got into office and said, "Oh, by the way, I know you want the death penalty, but I don't, and I'm Gavin Newsom, damn it." And you paint a great picture here because you can go back to Prop 13. They're still trying to throw out Prop 187, which had to do with illegal aliens not getting state benefits. The people of California said, yes, that's exactly the law that we want, and that got challenged and overturned, and the state of California didn't defend the voice of the people. Prop 209 on affirmative action, the same thing. Prop 8 on same-sex marriage. The people of California said we want marriage to mean one man, one woman. The people of California keep saying these things, and yet the leadership keeps saying, screw you, people of California, you're wrong.
Yes, that's right. So just remember this whenever you hear these liberals weeping about one man, one vote and democracy and how important elections are. You don't care about elections.
That's right.
You ignore the results of elections. But most stunningly, and the second lie that is revealed by Gavin Newsom and the wholly owned subsidiary of the Democratic Party, California, is that Democrats don't care about gun violence. I mean, listening to these, weeping soccer moms, I just figured, okay, you don't really know what you're talking about. You haven't looked at the statistics. Guns scare you. But you really think that if we just pass a law, that will make people safer. I'm willing to believe that the other side, and I hate when I do this because they never do it to us, but I'm willing to believe that many people on the other side do not have ill motive. They don't want more people dying. They really just think guns are scary things, and they're not very bright. No, it turns out they don't mind gun violence at all. And how can I prove that to you? Because in the middle of the last hysteria, which was just a couple months ago, or I guess it was in September, were those two mass shootings, one by a liberal, one by a conservative. I mean, roughly defined. They were, I gather, nuts in both cases. So I'm not attributing either shooting to whatever they posted on Facebook.
Absolutely.
But in any event, two mass shootings, the whole hysteria. We get the same arguments from the left. Oh, we have to ban evil, ban guns, don't be able to protect yourself. One of their big proposals, first time I've heard this one, is the red flag laws, where government bureaucrats would peruse your Facebook postings and Twitter feed and go through your email thread, and if you had ever said something displeasing to Democrats, that portion of the Bill of Rights would be repealed as to you. These are not people who've engaged in violence. It's their speech would get their guns taken away.
Right, with no due process.
Soccer moms out there, you might think that's not a bad idea. Okay, fine. We'll let responsible individuals have guns, but these people have shown, something, and maybe we don't have to fully enforce the Bill of Rights. But in the middle of that debate, Gavin Newsom commutes the sentences of 21 violent felons sentenced to long terms in prison. Almost all of them were sentenced for murder or attempted murder. Guess what weapon they used? Yes, guns. These are people who have actually used guns to murder another human being or try to murder another human being. And when he commuted their sentences, which will put them on the track to being released, one of the things he cited specifically was the fact that sentences in California are enhanced if you use a gun in the commission of a violent crime.
Right. Which last time I checked means that you're trying to get tough on gun violence. But no, it's unfair, Anne. Absolutely. Oh, but you're right. And
they don't care about gun violence. We care about gun violence. They care about coming after the guns in the hands of conservatives.
That's right. That's right. The people who go to the shooting range and belong to the NRA, those are the guns that they don't like. But now we know the intersectionality hierarchy here. We understand the difference. Is it's okay if you have a gun as long as you actually use it in a crime and get incarcerated. And I'm guessing, if you're a member of some other minority group. But this is, I mean, I listen, since I don't live full time in California anymore, I do spend a lot of time saying, whoa, look at California. Don't walk down this path. We always say the founders wanted the states to be petri dishes. Well, it's a hell of a petri dish, and it's full of a lot of disease. They've discovered quite a bit in California.
Yes, and New York. I mean, this has been going on for such a long time. The low or zero tax states have been adding population in tidal waves. And meanwhile, the high tax states, and not to mention many other policies that are irritating. I mean, you read about what the California legislature is up to, and it's like every day the legislators get up and think, how can we screw Californians today? I know, let's give illegal aliens driver's licenses.
Yeah.
It's just one thing after another. They want to promote the rights of the freaks, the outliers, the illegal aliens, criminals, transgenders, to the detriment of decent people going to work, raising children, giving their children driver's licenses. Okay, honey, I'm sending you out on the road, and there will be unlicensed illegal aliens who've never even seen a car behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah. And probably getting an Uber license as well. Ann Coulter's our guest. You can get everything at anncoulter.com. My concern going forward, I still care deeply about California. I love the state of California. My kids still live in California. Some of them do. I don't see a way forward right now because the sane voices are moving out. They've thrown up their hands. The deck is stacked. The deck is stacked against Republicans. They can't win. And people always point at Schwarzenegger. Thank you for emphasizing this in your column. Schwarzenegger is not a Republican. He does not count as a Republican. He was Schwarzenegger. He was Mrs. Arnold Kennedy.
Yeah, it was too bad because he started off great, and then
they always do.
No, but in an initiative, I mean, this political move, advised by Mike Murphy, by the way, should be taught at the Kennedy School of Government for the next 100 years, how to destroy a governorship. He put up, I don't know if you remember this, one of his first acts was to put up for vote all these initiatives.
Yep, that would three initiatives on the budget, on spending, on limits, and all that stuff. And he left
specifically on pensions of government workers.
Oh, right.
Off-year election. Obviously, every state worker came out to vote. Every vote against it. Everyone who doesn't work for the state, who isn't a government employee in California, read about the election the next day. Yeah. So he got wiped out in those initiatives and then decided, oh, screw it, I'll just throw my hat in with the Democrats.
Right, and now it's going to be all about carbon
emissions. Don't hold an election. The bottom line is do not hold an election on reducing the pensions of government workers in an off-year election.
Right, yeah. And meanwhile, we've got a governor, we've got a mayor in Los Angeles who are going out of there, and they just elected a DA in San Francisco who specifically says, we're not going to prosecute any crimes against public camping, public drug use, public defecation, public urination, soliciting sex, or prostitution. But how? I'd love to see you try to light up a cigarette while walking down the sidewalk in West LA, and you will see the SWAT team coming after you.
Or drink using a plastic straw.
Or yes, exactly. And now
that's going to solve global warming.
And this is where we are. So I mean, if you could wave a magic wand and fix things in California, or at least give Republicans a chance again, is there a way forward, or is it just sort of okay? Let's just let California do what it's doing. At the very least, it's the canary in the coal mine for the other 49.
Well, it ought to be, but no one will learn the lessons. I mean, Democrats have been not warning us, but celebrating this. If you're warning to anyone who wanted to listen for 20 years, they're changing the country with immigration. Yes, immigrants are very hardworking. They're very pleasant. Everyone likes them personally. When you oppose a policy, I don't think you should be required to hate the people that the policy might be benefiting. It's hurting everyone else. It's hurting California. And as one state after another is going the way of California. I mean, most recently, Virginia. Virginia is gone. Why? Because liberals' clever arguments finally won the day. People who have voted Republican in the past said, oh my gosh, I see the light. We do need high taxes and more criminals. No, they're voting the same way. If anything, you have more Democrats becoming Republicans, moving in that direction. But we are bringing in people from, by definition, less free countries. We are the freest, most free market country in the world. Any immigrant we bring in is going to be more used to socialist government, not having free speech, not having guns. And, polls show it. Immigrants of all stripes, but since 1970, have been voting 8-2 for the Democrats. That's how the Democrats are winning. When the country is over, I just do not want the history to say, and liberals' clever arguments swept the country. Yeah. No, they changed the voters. They started with California, and they are sweeping through the rest of the states now. This is why Americans voted for Donald Trump, and this is why some of his biggest supporters, are so ticked off that he just disregarded those votes. It may be too late. Who knows?
And by the way, this is no secret sauce that Anna's come. I mean, she is the first one who raised the alarms years ago with her books, but they're bragging about it. The New York Times has an article today saying this is how Democrats won Virginia, because of foreign-born voters who have come in and migrated there by the millions. And oh, lo and behold, they don't believe in the Second Amendment. Why? Because they were born in a place that never had such a thing, let alone any Second Amendment, let alone the Bill of Rights. And they come here and they say, oh yeah, people shouldn't own guns because in India we don't own guns. Well, God,
right.
And they're bragging about it. It's not a secret. It's not happening while we're not looking. We're watching it happen.
Yes, but the plutocrats like the cheap labor, and the media have been hiding his traumas. What disturbed me about that New York Times article today is this is the first time I've seen the New York Times admit it. I mean, other than perhaps reviewing books by such as Roy Teixeira bragging 20 years ago that immigration would be George McGovern's revenge. I mean, if the New York Times is willing to admit this now, usually they lie and they say, oh, it was the Democrats' clever use of social media. No, it never was that. The fact that they're admitting it today, Larry, suggests to me that they think the jig is up. There's no way you're taking it back. Trump didn't keep his promises. We own America now. Yeah, it sounds like they think it's too late for us to do anything. I hope it's not. There's still Chris Kobach running for Senate in Kansas. There's Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. There's Josh Hawley from Missouri. There are, but you can count on one hand the number of Republicans who aren't wandering around like Elmer Fudd with no idea that they are about to lose everything because of immigration.
We'll leave it there, but Ann Coulter, it's always refreshing to talk to you, and it's always entertaining.
Thank you. By the way, for those of you who can make it up to Oakland, I'll be speaking in Berkeley, on November 20th.
Get out of here. Oh, I hope they live stream it. I can't make it, but I need to see that. Ann Coulter in Berkeley. I'll tell my family who lives up there to go see you. They'll like you, by the way.
Excellent.
All right, Ann Coulter, AnnCoulter.com, and see her in Berkeley, November 20th. Thanks, Ann. Always good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, Larry. Bye-bye.
It is Larry O'Connor Show on AM 790 KBC. Larry O'Connor here on AM 790 KBC on this Veterans Day. Let's just remember that America is the land of the free because of the brave.